There's so much poetry if you got to know him, and just the way he speaks. I remember one time, the Roots was having a jam session in LA. Hello, Amir. And backstage, I saw Jay-Z, and a photographer came up and said, guys, can we get a picture? It was him and his wife, Beyonce. And we all right, guys, relax, would you? And we all grouped together for a picture, me, Jay, and Beyonce, and I stood between them, and I put my arms around him, and Jay grabbed me and moved me to the side and grabbed his wife by the hand and said, the rose between the thorns. And as they're taking the picture, Jay says to me, you must have a lot of pressure on you to say funny shit all the time. And I looked at Jay and I said, well, you must have a lot of pressure on you to say cool shit all the time. And Jay looked at me and said, it ain't no pressure, I just do it. That's right. And I looked at Jay and said, my God, man, you just did it again. Hov, I'm your friend and your fan. I'm honored that I got a chance to know you. You embody Black excellence, how great we can be. And I am honored to be the nigga that gets to say to my nigga, welcome to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I was at home with my son busted, and he said, Dad, I need $250. He's only 12 years old, so I freaked out. What's going on, nigga? Somebody trying to kill you? He said, no. Kevin Hart's coming to town and I wanted to see his show. I said, well, how much are the tickets? He said, they're $125. I said, God damn, mine are only $80. I said, well, why do you need $250 then? He goes, because I want to go with you, Dad, please. And there it is. So I took him to the show. And we sit right up front, the lights go down, and one opening act after another goes on. Then Kevin takes the stage, crowd goes fucking nuts. Thousands of people. I was furious. The longer the show went on, the madder I got. Because his show was fucking outstanding. It was maddening. These people were fucking holding their stomachs. My son was slapping his knee. Oh, nigga, I do this too. I'm so good at writing jokes, and this is not even an exaggeration. I actually write jokes backwards. I will write a punchline with no particular setup in mind. I just put it on a scrap of paper, and I'll throw that scrap of paper in my fishbowl. I have a fishbowl in my house filled with random punchlines. And every once in a while, I'll shake the bowl, and I'll dig in there and just pull one out and see if I can make that shit work. And I picked one for this special. It's not an easy punchline to pull off. Are you ready? Yeah. Here it goes. The punchline is, so I kicked her in the pussy. I haven't finished the joke yet. I just know whatever happens in the beginning of the joke, at the end of the joke, for some reason, I'm gonna kick somebody in the pussy. And it's going to be hilarious. I'm just afraid of being attacked. Happens to the best of us. Don't ever forget what happened to that French actor. You know what I'm talking about? Juicy Smouillet. He's a very famous French actor. Y'all never heard of Juicy Smouillet? Juicy Smouillet is an actor from France. And he became famous on a show called Empire. One night, he was in Chicago late at night and was the victim he was the victim of a racist and homophobic attack. You see, Juicy Smouye is gay and he is black, not just French. Oh, it was a crazy story. Apparently, when he was walking down the street late at night, two white men came out of the shadows with MAGA hats on and beat him up. Tied a rope around his neck, called him all kinds of niggas, and put some bleach on him and ran off into the night. This shit was like international news. And everybody was furious, especially in Hollywood. It's all over everybody's Twitter feed and Instagram page. Justice for Juicy and all this shit. The whole country was up in arms. It was talking about it all the time on the news. And for some reason, African Americans, we were like oddly quiet. We were so quiet about this shit that the gay community started accusing African American community of being homophobic for not supporting him. What they didn't understand is that we were supporting him with our silence. Because we understood that this nigga was clearly lying. I promise you. Whoever cares the most, I care at least as much as them. I know what I got, because I lost it all. I gotta tell you something, and I don't talk about it often. Have you ever worked all your life for something and have it not work out? That happened to me. It was tough. Think about it. I was gone for 12 years. It's not a little bit of time. It was hell. I watched other niggas that I knew become very famous. I watched the world go on without me. I mourned the loss of it, and after a while, I didn't care. Coming back was terrifying. I understand what I am. I really do, more than anybody. Like when they write about me in history, I'll be dead reading it like, yeah, I knew they'd say that. They say that a person can't dream of a face they've never seen. Can't believe that's true, but it's probably true. Boy, I got a long bank of faces. 32 years, I could close my eyes, I could think of any night. There's so many faces. Every night, most nights, they're all looking up, smiling. You have no idea what the world looks like from there. All different races, all different colors, all different kind of beliefs, just looking at me, smiling for 32 years, night after night. No comedian take that for granted. I swear to God, this might be the noblest of professions. Robin Williams had a bar that I loved. He said, comedy is the only job you can have where you can use everything you know. And that's true. You can use more than you know. You can use what you think. Use it. Don't be afraid. Don't let these bitch-ass niggas button your lip. Say it anyway.
Survivors of the pandemic. This is your Captain Dave speaking. Please welcome Erica Badu.
I actually write jokes backwards. I will write a punchline with no particular setup in mind. I just put it on a scrap of paper, and I'll throw that scrap of paper in my fishbowl. I have a fishbowl in my house filled with random punchlines. And every once in a while, I'll shake the bowl, and I'll dig in there and just pull one out and see if I can make that shit work. And I picked one for this special. It's not an easy punchline to pull off. Are you ready? Yeah. Here it goes. The punchline is, so I kicked her in the pussy. I haven't finished the joke yet. I just know whatever happens in the beginning of the joke, at the end of the joke, for some reason, I'm gonna kick somebody in the pussy. And it's going to be hilarious. When I was growing up, I was probably about 8 years old, and at the time, we were living in Silver Spring. My parents did just well enough so that I could grow up poor around white people. And to be honest, when Nas and them talk about the projects, nigga, I used to get jealous because it sounded fun. Everybody in the projects was poor, and that's fair. But if you were poor in Silver Spring, nigga, it felt like it was only happening to you. Nas does not know the pain of that first sleepover at a white friend's house. And you come back home on Sunday and just look at your parents like, y'all need to step your game up. Everything at Timmy's house works. Timmy was one of my first white friends, like, in my life, man. And one day I was at his house, we were just hanging out, and Timmy says, Dave, why don't you stay for dinner tonight? I said, oh, man, I'd love to, but I can't. If I'm not home before dark, my mother will kill me. That was a lie. My mother had several jobs. I hadn't seen her in like 3 or 4 days. And the only reason I lied to Timmy was because at that point in my life, it was my experience that white dinner wasn't delicious. I'd rather go home and fry some bologna or some shit like that. But then old Timmy threw me a curveball I wasn't expecting. He said, well, it's too bad you can't stay, Dave, because Mom made stovetop stuffing. I said, what the fuck, stovetop? Well, hold on, nigga, let me make some phone calls real quick. I had seen that commercial so many times, I had dreamt of getting my hands on some of that stovetop stuffing. And finally, I met a motherfucker that actually had a box of stovetop in the house. I couldn't miss this opportunity, so I pretended to call my mother. And then I came back and I said, Timmy, you're not gonna believe this, great news. Mom said I can stay. And he said, fantastic. He said, why don't you come with me and we'll help set the table and then we can say the blessing. I had no interest in setting this motherfucker's table or saying these crazy ass Mormon prayers. I just wanted that goddamn stuffing. So I told Timmy, I said, you know what, I'd love to help, but let me go wash my hands first. My plan was simple. Wash my hands slowly, and by the time I'm done, the table will be set, the blessing will be said, and all that there will be left to do is heat. Went to the bathroom. I washed my hands very slowly. I must have been in there for about 10 minutes. And suddenly, one of his mothers came to the door. She was like, "Hi, David, right?" I said, "Yes, ma'am." She said, "Timmy tells me that you're planning on staying for dinner." I said, "I hope that's not a problem, ma'am." She says, "No, it's no problem. In fact, we'd love to have you. It's just that we weren't expecting company. And I'm afraid there's not enough stovetop stuffing for everybody." So I kicked her in the pussy. Bam! Ladies and gentlemen. I've been watching that new OJ show. I can't get enough of that shit. Doesn't it bring back good memories? But I forgot how like just how polarizing that OJ case was. And you know, I've met OJ Simpson on 4 different occasions in my life. And before the end of the show, I will tell you about each of those occasions. The first time I met OJ Simpson, I was in Santa Monica. Santa Monica? Yeah. I can't believe a black dude was like, "Santa Monica." He was the last niggas I was expecting to say that. Let's see your shoes. You got some Vans on, nigga? What you got on? Santa Monica! You? At the time, I was 18. I had done a show, and then a guy from the club came up and was like, "Hey, OJ Simpson's here, and he said he wants to meet you." I said, "What? Fuck yeah." I ran down the steps, and OJ was down there. He's like, "Hey, yo, man, how are you? It's very good to meet you. And you're doing really good work, and I hope good things happen for you in your life." I was like, "Man, thanks, Mr. Juice." Standing beside him, well, I don't know the nice way to say this, his soon-to-be slain wife. Ladies and gentlemen, man the fuck up or you're not gonna make it through the end of this show. Just man the fuck up. She's dead, you already know, we know what happened. We don't know who did it, but we know what happened. I should tell you that woman was very nice to me. She actually embraced me. She said, "I think you're adorable." And she hugged me. She goes, "Good luck to you." And she held me for a long time. And I whispered in her ear, "Bitch, are you trying to get us both killed?" I'm just kidding, I didn't say that. But that was the first time in a nutshell. The second time I met OJ Simpson. Was right after the trial of the century. There I was, now a young man of probably 23. OJ Simpson was the most famous or infamous face on planet Earth. I was in a restaurant in Beverly Hills with my agents. I wasn't alone in the restaurant, but I was alone. I was the only black person in the restaurant. And in the 90s, that felt very uncomfortable. Now I tend to enjoy it at this age. I was having dinner with my agents, celebrating a deal that they told me was lucrative, but I later learned fucking sucked. And suddenly, a group of women walked by. Every race was in that group. Black, white, Asian, Latina, white, and white again. They were all gorgeous. I watched them walk by. Then, I saw a familiar face. Al Collins, the man from the infamous Bronco chase, walked by and embraced one of the women, and they walked towards the door. Couldn't believe what I saw. And then, close behind him, was O.J. Simpson, newly released from jail. The restaurant fell still. I was shocked. I didn't mean to say it out loud, but it just came out. O.J. He stopped, turned around to see who said it, saw my black face, and correctly assumed it was me. I was sitting in the corner of the booth. He leaned over all the white people I was having dinner with and shook my hand. "How are you, young man?" He looked in my eyes, and I could see in his eyes that he didn't remember meeting me the first time. And then he walked away. And I looked back at my agents, and all of them had nothing short of disgust on their faces. And the only one with the courage to voice their disgust was a woman named Sharon, who used to represent me. "How could you," she said. "How could you shake hands with that murderer?" I said, "Sharon, with all due respect, that murderer ran for over 11,000 yards. And he was acquitted, so, fuck it. Glove didn't fit. Glove didn't fit. Get over yourself. The third time I met O.J. Simpson, I was doing great in life. I just finished the second season of Chappelle Show. Man, those were good days. I was playing a comedy club in Miami, the Improv. I don't know if you've ever been, but if you have, you'd know. The door for the green room is right on the stage. Can you imagine such a thing? If I walked out of the door of the green room, bam, I'm just right here. It's right from the dressing room. And I did that. I walked out, and the whole crowd was like, "Hooray!" And I looked, "Ma'am, as close as you are to me." I saw him as soon as I came out, the juice. And I saw recognition in his eyes, and it filled me with pride that he knew who I was. I didn't acknowledge his presence because it was a white audience, and I didn't want to start a panic. But I did my show. Show went great. I said, "Good night, everyone." They all said, "Yay!" And I didn't say nothing to OJ, but I just gave him the signal, let him know I knew he was there. And I walked into the green room, and OJ was already in there. I was like, how the fuck is this possible? I was scared. And then my friends came in, and we all started talking. We sat down on the couch, and I'm just telling you what I saw with my own eyes. You can believe me or not believe me. But in my experience, O.J. Simpson, one of the nicest men I'd ever met. He was nice to me. He was nice to my friends. The conversation was filled with warmth and levity, humor, and wisdom. We talked for 90 minutes, and then suddenly the Juice said, "You know what? I've got to be going. But it's good to see you again, and I'm glad things went so well." I said, "Thanks, Juice." And my friend said, "Yeah, goodbye, Mr. Juice." They're new to the game. He said, "No, thank you for your hospitality. Good night, guys." And we said, "Good night." And he just walked out of the room. And as soon as the door closed, we all looked at each other like, that nigga did that shit. I could feel like murder in the room. Wait. I forgot. The fourth time I met O.J. Simpson. The fourth time is not the funniest time, but it was the last time I'd see the Juice. For some reason, I was at the Kentucky Derby. It's a very long story. This is right after I quit Chappelle Show in spectacular fashion. There was a party hosted by Michael Jordan, and every athlete I'd ever admired was in that room. Yes. And then I saw a familiar face by the bar, standing there, drinking alone. It was Chris Tucker. Now, you have to remember, at this time, we were both technically missing. And we went over and were talking with one another, and motherfuckers were amazed to see us together. Seeing me and Chris Tucker at that point would be like seeing Bigfoot riding a unicorn. You wouldn't believe that's what you were saying. And then, through all the gawkers of familiar face pushed to the crowd. Here he was again, the Juice. He had his camera ready. He was like, Dave, Chris, good to see you guys. Hey, come on, guys, let's all get together for a picture. And at the same time, me and Chris were like, no. Can't do that. Sorry, Juice, my career's too flimsy to survive a picture with you. That's the end. Good night.
A friend of mine was at my house, and I told him I'm going to do stand-up again. And he said, really? And I said, yeah, I was hoping for more of a really, but it was really. And I said, yes, why? And he said, well, do you think you're still relatable? I said, yes, I do think I'm still relatable. I'm a human being. And he said, well, I mean, your life has changed so much. And I said, I know, but I still think I'm relatable. And anyway, just then, Batu, my butler, stepped into the library. So I'm sitting in the solarium, eating my breakfast, and I was on my third or fourth bite of cube pineapple that Batu was feeding me. And I said, Batu, I'm not hungry. I've lost my appetite. My friend has really upset me by what he said. And he said, well, then I shall draw you a bath, ma'am. And I said, you don't have to announce it all the time, just draw the bath. So I'm sitting in the tub, and I'm looking out the window at the rose garden, and Tatiana was tending to the roses, and I knocked, ma'am. And anyway, I get out of the tub, and Batu had forgotten to put the towel next to the tub again. And so I had to do that bath mat scoot all the way across the bathroom to get to the towel. And it's a big, you can imagine how big the bathroom is. It's like I'm doing the bath mat scoot. And then I stopped, and I was like, oh my God, this is relatable.
I came home early from the road. I had a $12,000 suit on, because life's been going good. And I got home early, and dinner was cooking. You ever come home when dinner's cooking? Doesn't that smell good? And my son saw me, and he was like, Dad's home. And he got up from the table and ran over to give me a hug, but he had chicken grease all over his face. So I stepped on him like, yo, my man. Wash these threads, son. This is an expensive suit. I don't want you to get the chicken grease all over me. And he was like, what the chicken grease? Dad, this is duck. A tear came out of my eyes. I never dreamt I'd do so well in life that I'd raise a nigga with duck grease all over his face.
I know my life has changed drastically, but it wasn't always like that. And the reason I'm telling you this, as a famous person, you sort of read about yourself, you know, gossip and, you know, Twitter and everything. And one thing kept cropping up, even when I was preparing for this tour, people saying, oh, he's out of touch. He's so famous, he's rich, he's mega rich. I am. I could have this place burnt down for a laugh. No, but they say things like, oh, he's an observational comedian. How can he say things that relate to ordinary scum? And I say, don't call them scum, right? But even the papers, they try and get around to it. I do interviews, and they'll always be able to say, oh, do you always fly first class? I go, no, often private. Right? And the number of times I've answered this question, right? They say, do you know how much a pint of milk is? It was meant to make you look out of touch, and I don't know, but that's irrelevant, right? Next time a journalist asks me that, I'm going to say, I don't know, mate, but here's £1,000. Run and get me one, will you? Is that enough? Is that enough? Yeah.
Comedians have a responsibility to speak recklessly. Sometimes the funniest thing to say is mean. Remember, I'm not saying it to be mean. I'm saying it because it's funny. Let's play. Are you ready?
Having this discussion not so very long ago with Jerry Seinfeld, he said that when he's in a situation where he senses that things are not going his way is when all he does is rely on the material. He doesn't worry about anything else. He just goes right on with his material, and sooner or later he will prevail. Do you have that experience?
Not at all. No.
Do you still get nervous when you do shows, or this is a piece of cake to you?
Well, one time it didn't work out.
Yeah, and sometimes it don't work. You know what it's like? And Donnell, you can attest to this. When people ask me, like, do you get nervous when you go on stage? It's like asking a pilot if he gets nervous before a flight. I might hit some weather. Some turbulence. Yeah, I might hit some weather, but I feel like normally we land the plane. I don't think we've ever not landed. Maybe Detroit, but other than that was done. I mean, you know, being a celebrity, your realm of getting in trouble is worse than the average person. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, the average dude gotta go out and look for trouble. I'd be sitting around mind my own business, and dude come up, hey man, you're Dave Chappelle. I'm like, yeah, what's up, man? Hey, I got 12 naked bitches in a hot air balloon. You trying to roll with me?
This game has gone off the rails.
It's insane to have you do
control of your show.
I'm not losing control. I hope not. It's too late. It's too late now.
Yeah, don't lose your show.
Yeah, here we go.
I feel very lucky that I got to know him. Mm-hmm. I feel like he's a very large part of the reason that I got to be successful. Mm-hmm. Like, literally, he changed my life just by saying, I fought Rick James many times. We were like, what?
He fucked Rick James.
Fought Rick James.
Oh, I thought you said that too.
Charlemagne, Jesus Christ.
I don't know what accent that was.
Whoa.
I don't normally do this, but it was Jessica Simpson. I said, let me just see, you know, what's going on. So I went up, I'm like, hi, Jessica Simpson. I didn't know what to say. I'm like, my name's Dave Chappelle. I was like, I'm on TV too.
Yeah.
And she was like, I know who you are. And I was like, I knew it, bitch. I didn't say that to her.
So did you go to a psychiatric hospital?
In South Africa?
Yeah.
Who?
I'm only asking because I need to ask.
I gotta get people thinking, all right, who goes from America to Africa for medical attention?
The reason most people have a show and then don't have a show is because they say, well, we don't want you to have a show anymore. But that wasn't the case here. The case here was you said, I don't want your show anymore, and you took a hike.
It's worse than that.
It's worse.
Yeah.
Well, now are you tired of talking about it? It's 10 years, of course you're tired of talking about it.
I don't talk about it. It's like, you know, listen, here it is. Technically, I never quit. I'm 7 years late for work. My son was back then. I have another son that's coming this weekend.
Oh yeah?
Yes, we're gonna have a swell time.
Did they enjoy living? Did they enjoy living in Ohio?
Yeah, they don't know any different. Like, they love it. You know.
He didn't mean it like that. He didn't mean it like that.
I sat back down. As a matter of fact, I was finishing my soup up, and she was leaving. This was crazy. She came up to me as she was leaving. She was like, bye, Dave Chappelle. It's nice to meet you. And she gave me some sugar, just a little.
She gave you a kiss?
Yeah, which was crazy, because I opened my mouth a little bit.
I was in Portland, Maine. Mm-hmm. Oh, do you remember that? And,
yeah.
And I was walking in the mall, and I guess you guys had been there an hour before me, so they just thought I was like a lost route. They were like, I look at it like this. I'm at a restaurant with my wife. It's a nice restaurant. We're eating dinner. I look across the room. I say, you see this guy over here across the room? He has $100 million. And we're eating the same entree. So, okay, fine. I don't have $50 million or whatever it was. But say I have $10 million in the bank. The difference in lifestyle is minuscule. The only difference between having $10 million and $50 million is an astounding $40 million.
How old were you when you started?
I was 14.
Your mom let you go gig at 14?
She used to have to take me in the beginning. I can't really say it on television. She would critique my act on the drive home, which was a very long ride. You don't want to hear your mom say, like, those jokes need to be cut and all that stuff.
I saw your baby, very nice. God, baby's, how old's the baby now?
He's 18 months now.
Oh, that's very cool.
He can't quite talk yet, but that's what I'm waiting for.
Yeah.
For him to talk.
Yeah.
Because whenever you ever had a conversation with a guy that lived in your balls, you know?
Thank you. Good night, everybody. See you next week. Thank you.
The vagina is stronger than money.
Stronger than money.
Yes. If I could, I'd put one in my wallet. I would get a whole new wardrobe. And then I go to pay for it and say, this is going to be cash or charge. And I say, I'll pay with my vagina. You just take that in the bank and process it.
So what happened? You get out of the police station?
Well, I go there, you know, I believe the fear is that, you know, the police, you don't want to go in there because, oh, while you're here, you might fit a description. Why don't you come back here and we'll process it? I don't want to get put in the lineup, you know. You know the lineup.
I know the lineup, yeah.
And especially if it's one of them good lineups where all the guys kind of look like you. He'd be in the line like, oh my God, they do kind of look like me. You know?
Were you actually in the lineup?
Oh, yeah, I've been in the lineup before. I would try to change my face and stuff like, you know. And a lady actually almost picked me. She was like, wait a minute, this guy, he looks familiar. It's like, bitch, I've been on television. Be careful, man. You know, I learned about London. I didn't know they called cigarettes fags over there.
Yeah, you gotta kind of know that before you go.
Yeah, I was in a bar and the guy came up to me. I'm dying for a fag. Like, ugh, man. Why are you telling me this? Like, am I in the wrong bar?
How old is your baby?
How old is your baby?
She's 2.
Oh, okay. She's too old for my baby to fight.
To fight?
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
I like baby fights. I like to put them. I like to have them in there with other babies and just mix it up.
She's the wrong weight class.
The whole Black History Month, I was down south. I know it's crazy. I was scared to go, you know. And I got there and it was not scary at all. It was nice there.
Right.
And I mean, not to say they don't have racism, but they're comfortable with their racism.
Right.
You know, morning, nigger. Morning, sir. Boy, that was good.
How old were you when you made your first TV development deal?
19. My mother and my grandmother were freaked out. You know, I was the first person in my family not to go to college that had not been a slave.
Right.
So I was really breaking from tradition, and it was like a graduation lunch we were having, and they had my dad come and talk to me, and my dad takes me outside, and he's like, listen, and this is some advice that applies to all you acting students. He says, to be an actor is a lonely life. Everybody wants to make it, and you might not make it. And I said to my dad, well, that depends on what making it is, Dad. He was a smart-ass kid.
Yeah.
It depends on what making it is there. He says, what do you mean? I said, well, you're a teacher. I said, if I could make a teacher salary doing comedy, I think that's better than being a teacher. And he started laughing. He said, if you keep that attitude, I think you should go. He said, but name your price in the beginning. If it ever gets more expensive than the price you name, get out of there. Thus, Africa.
I tell you, when I was sitting here watching what all the other honorees have done with their lives, I started feeling like shit. Like, this is terrible. And then Bobo brought me up and started out good with that Ali picture, and then it just... But that coloring book that was in the picture, I know the Ali's are here, that coloring book, my mother has it. And Champ, he signed it. You know, the greatest, he signed it, Muhammad Ali. And his sparring partner was there that day. And his sparring partner signed it, said the next heavyweight champion of the world, Larry Holmes. And he was. And 2-year-old Dave Chappelle colored all in that shit and just ruined the book. But I remember part of the book that I remember real vividly because I asked my mother about it when I was a kid. There's a part where there's a picture of Ali throwing his Olympic gold medal into the Ohio River. That's why it's so weird for me being here. You know, both my parents were very brilliant. My dad went to Brown in 1955. That's right. He told me at the time he was one of 3 black students. He said one of the guys got accused of a rape that he probably didn't commit. And the other guy killed himself, and Dad said, and I left. And see, that's what makes us Chappelle's great. We know when to quit. We all just live to fight another day. I gotta say, I'm very honored to be here, and I'm very honored to be here with the other honorees. Really, I'm like very humbled by you all, the work that you do, and you all make me want to be better. All of you. And you know, I was gonna stop doing stand-up for a while because 4 comedy specials in a year is like, that's a lot, you know. But you know, shout out to my colleagues in comedy. I just want to say that in a way, this for me belongs to my mother primarily, who was an African American studies professor, and a lot of the content that I say, she raised me well. I'm not an uninformed person. But also, you know, my colleagues in comedy, like comedians have been getting beat up pretty bad recently, and we're somehow nowadays expected to speak with the precision of attorneys or politicians. We are not. I always think of James Baldwin. You know, James Baldwin was one of my favorite writers because he managed to tell white people what they feel like to be around. So I ain't gonna hang up my gloves yet. I think I got one more special in me. So to quote Baldwin, God gave Noah the rainbow sign. It's no more water, it's the fire next time. Thank you very much. There's a trans woman sitting in the audience. This is a true story. This was like a few weeks ago. I did 6 shows that weekend. This trans woman came to 4 of them. Calls herself Daphne. Man, this chick Daphne was in there cracking the fuck up at everything I said about everybody. It was amazing. She was laughing, and it was fun to watch her laugh. You could tell she was letting go with something that was heavy, and she'd throw her head back, and she'd smile with all her teeth. She was having a great time. And the more fun she had, I felt bad, because I knew I had some trans jokes to unload. And I thought to myself, maybe I shouldn't say these jokes because I don't want to like fuck her evening up. She's having so much fun. But then I thought to myself, well, if I can't say it in front of her, should I say this shit at all? So I let her rip. To my surprise, Daphne laughed harder at the trans jokes than anybody in the room. In fact, everybody in the room would look at her to make sure it was okay. And I got off stage, I was in the dressing room, I was like, man, this is a fucking weird show. I'm sitting in the dressing room by myself just trying to figure out, like, what the fuck just happened out there? Like, why is it that this one woman can't take any of these jokes and Daphne can take all of these jokes? So weird. And then I realized, Daphne used to be a man. So now I go out of the dressing room and like you can see like all the staff was there like cleaning the club up, the audience had gone, and sitting at the bar by herself was Daphne. And she's like, hey, Dave, come join me for a drink. And I don't want her to think that I'm transphobic or nothing, so I'm like, fuck, I guess I could have at least a drink. And we get some tequila and we're sitting there. And she was fucking cool. Turns out that Daphne, she wants to be a comedian. She was asking me for advice and I told her advice and all that shit. And then she says to me, she says, boy, you sure do get a bad rap for your trans jokes. I said, Daphne, thank you, but you don't have to say that. I hope I didn't offend you. She goes, no. She said, in fact, I read about you in the New York Times. I said, you did? She said, yeah. She said, I thought it was interesting that they blamed you for R. Kelly. They said you normalized him for telling jokes about him. I go, yeah, they said that. She goes, I wonder why they never said that you normalized transgenders by telling jokes about us. And I never thought about that. It never occurred to me. And we started making out. And then like, I reached up just to see what it felt like. I was like, what? And it felt like pussy, didn't it? It was just like.
Now, I was hanging out with a friend of mine. He's a white guy, you know. We were just hanging out. And we were lost in the city, you know, we were smoking a joint. Now, I don't know if it's a coincidence that we were lost and high and shit, but. My white buddy, he was smoking a joint.
Dave, it's the goddamn cops. I'm gonna ask him for directions.
I said, Chip, no! Chip, don't do it! It was too late. He was walking over there, this man was high as shit.
Excuse me, sir.
Touching him and shit.
Excuse me. Need some information.
Start confessing things you shouldn't confess.
I'm a little high. All I want to know, which way is 3rd Street?
The cop was like, hey, take it easy. You're on 3rd Street. You better be careful. Go ahead, move it. Move it. And that's all that happened. That's the end of the story. Now, I know that's not amazing to some of you, but you ask one of these black fellas, that shit is fucking incredible, isn't it? I'm saying a black man would never dream of talking to the police high. That's a waste of weed. Serious. I mean, I'd be scared to talk to the police when I'm sleepy. They fuck around and get the wrong idea and shit.
Oh my God. That nigger was on PCP, Johnson.
I had to use necessary force. You saw him.
No paperwork. Just sprinkle some crack on him. Let's get out of here. That's how it is. But at the time, I didn't think there was anything racial about it. I was just like, man, Chip, you got fucking lucky. You better be careful. But then another time, me and Chip are driving. Now, I'm not driving. Chip is driving, and he's driving a little crazy. He's been drinking. Now, I don't like to let my friends drive drunk, but, you know, I was smoking a joint. I couldn't really say shit to the guy. And we get at a red light. We stop at a red light, and a car pulls up next to us, and I'll never forget it. Chippy looks at me, he's all drunk, and she's like, Dave, I'm gonna race him. I knew it was a bad idea, but I was high. I tried to explain to him it was a bad idea, but all that came out was, well, nigga, sometimes you gotta race, I don't know. Man, that light turned green and Chip took off, zigzagging and shit so no one could pass. The other car didn't even know he was racing. Then the police seen us and pulled us over. Now you understand, I'm scared as shit. I mean, come on, the car smells like weed. I've been speeding, this man is fucking drunk. I was scared. Chip was not scared at all. It was weird. He didn't even turn his radio down. Isn't that weird a little bit? I mean, if you get pulled over, wouldn't you turn your radio down? Nobody want to get their ass beat to a soundtrack and shit. You know what I'm saying? Chip had the music blasting. We're not gonna take it. He looked at me and said, Dave, just relax. Close your butt cheeks. Just relax. Let me do the talking. You wanna know what he said? This is almost exactly what he said. I couldn't believe it. He says, oh. Sorry, officer, I didn't know I couldn't do that. I was fucking shocked. The cop said, well, now you know. Just get out of here. Just get the fuck out of here. Chip said, okay, I will, sir. Thank you. What? What's wrong with you, Dave? I didn't know I couldn't do that. He said, that was good, wasn't it? Because I did know I couldn't do that.
Really, you know who I'm gonna vote for next time if things keep going the way it's going is that gay dude. No, Mike Pence. Now, this is the same club, the Punchline. This is 15 years ago, and I had just gotten back from my infamous South Africa trip. And I came to the Punchline just to cheer myself up. It's a safe place where I could tell some jokes. And I find out that this comedian I know, Chris Tucker, who's in all those Rush Hour movies, I find out that Chris is in San Francisco too at some charity event. So I call him, I'm like, yo, I just saw you at some charity event. I said, I'm doing a show at the Punchline. Why don't you come by the club after your event? He's like, cool, Dave. I thought she was dead, nigga. I'll come by. He says, is it okay if I bring some friends? Because, you know, I'm with a lot of people. I go, man, you Chris Tucker. You can bring whoever the fuck you want. And then I show up to the club late that night. I walk into the dressing room, and sitting in the dressing room is Gavin Newsom, who at the time was the mayor of San Francisco, but now he's the governor of California. And sitting next to him was Kamala Harris, who at the time was the DA of San Francisco. Now she's the senator from California that's front-running on the Democratic ticket. And sitting next to her was Al Gore. Fucking weird. And sitting next to Al Gore was the guys from Google, Sergey, and I don't know how to say these. All right. And it was Chris Tucker and Ben Jealous, who at the time was the president of the NAACP, who was all just at this big charity dinner, and Paul Mooney was drinking scotch. And we all was just in there. And, you know, first I was a little uncomfortable when we started talking, and we all got along really well. At some point, Kamala Harris she says to me, she goes, you know, a friend of mine is announcing his candidacy for president tomorrow. I went to college with him. I'm like, what? I go, Barack Obama? She goes, you've heard of him? I'm like, yo, I just read about this dude. And she goes, yo, yeah, blah, 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 we talking. She goes, you know what? She says, let's call him on the phone. I said, what the fuck? And she picks the phone up and she dials and she's listening like this. And she goes, it's his voicemail. And she gives me the phone, she goes, leave him a message. You know, I didn't know what to say. I just said what you say to any black dude that's running for president. You know, stay low, running a zigzag pattern, this kind of shit. And then the last thing I say is, you know what? I said, sir, I really do believe you can do this. Like, man, I'm wishing you luck. Now, next day I wake up and go for coffee at a place called the Embarcadero. It's like an eatery by the sea in San Francisco. And I'm walking to the coffee shop and there's a police line and I can't cross the tape. But then I figure, fuck it, I'm Dave Chappelle, so I go into the thing like this. And the police yoke me. These motherfuckers like tackle me immediately. And I see over the police's shoulder Gavin Newsom. I couldn't remember his name, but I remember the night before I had kept teasing him and saying he looked like Christian Bale, the guy from the Batman movies. So I see him and I can't remember the name, so I'm just like, Batman, help! And he stops, he's like, Dave? And then the police see that the mayor knows me, so they're all like, oh, sorry about that. And he's like, hey, back up, everybody. And he just picks me up. He's like, I'm really sorry about that. I'm like, I'm fine, don't worry about it. And he's like, listen, I'm here with Prince. Would you like to meet him? I'm like, I know Prince. That's my nigga. And we go around the corner, and it was Prince Charles, the Prince of England. I didn't know the protocol of meeting royalty. You're not supposed to touch him. I dapped him up like a nigga. My nigga. Just hugging him and shit like this, dapping him up, like this. And that nigga was cool too. I was like, it's really fucking weird. And then I was just out there in the upside down, not having no TV show, trying to figure life out. And the election was going on in the background. And this guy, Barack Obama, was picking up steam. This motherfucker was killing it. And I had a chance to go to the last debate on the Democratic ticket, and I went. It was me and Chris Tucker sitting in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. It's the last three candidates. It was Barack Obama, John Edwards, and Hillary Clinton. Now, Obama's a lot taller than Edwards and Clinton, and he had the center podium. And at one point, they're all on stage, and they start fussing, and Obama goes, look, none of us are perfect, like this. And his hands was like this, and there was light shining behind his head, and the other two candidates was looking up at the nigga, and I was sitting in the audience like, this nigga looks like Jesus. And I realized in that moment that I was looking at the next president of the United States. I was certain of it. I couldn't explain it, but I knew what I was seeing. And I got really excited. And I'm not that kind of guy. I said, I gotta meet this motherfucker. So I stayed. They were all on stage doing interviews, and I just waited. I was waiting and waiting, and then John Edwards was done with his interviews first, because everybody knew he wasn't gonna win. And I see John Edwards, and I said, hey, Senator Edwards, I just want to say hi. And that motherfucker looked at me like, I'm like, fuck you, nigga, you gonna lose anyway. And then he left, and then Hillary Clinton just walked by me in one of them Steve Harvey suits. But Obama was taking forever. Everybody wanted to talk to him. When I knew the media saw exactly what I saw, there was no question about it. That was the guy. waited and I waited, and finally, must have been over an hour and a half, he finishes his last interview. He's like, man, thank you very much. Good talking to you. And he turns around and we make eye contact. He sees me. And when he sees me, he looks over, he goes, Dave Chappelle. And Obama did me the same way I did Prince Charles. He dapped me up. And he like bro hugged me and he pulled me in and I'll never forget this. He said in my ear, I got your message. Thank you very much, New York City. Good night.
You gotta make life interesting like that, because the shit is flimsy. Life is flimsy. You think you're gonna live forever, you ain't not gonna live forever. It's dangerous out here. We know what's going on. I travel now, you know. I used to think DC had the roughest ghettos in the country. Nah, nigga, I have seen some shit now. Oh, there's some rough areas outside of DC. Yeah, everybody should go to the ghetto. I was taken to the ghetto one time. That's the worst. When you get taken and you're not expecting to go. You know, usually you want to know when you're going to the ghetto, like, I'm going to see some wild shit. I got to prepare myself. I'm going to see something crazy. When you're taken, it's different. I had a limousine driver. It was after a show. It was late at night. It was like 3 in the morning. I had a limousine driver. He was a nice guy, talking to me and shit. Oh, hey, where you from, dog? DC? Word? That's a rough city, man. And his cell phone started ringing. Hold on 1 second. Hello? Oh, what's up, nigga? What? What the fuck? Slow down. What? What the fuck? No! 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 Fuck that, nigga. Fuck it. I'm on my way. Hey. I gotta make a stop real quick. At 3 o'clock in the morning. I didn't know he was taking me to the ghetto at first. I started looking out the window. I was like, what the fuck? It's gun store, liquor store, gun store. Where the fuck are you taking me? This don't look good. He didn't say shit. He just pulled up in front of an old rickety building that looked like a project. Now, I'd never been there before. I'm not sure if it was a project, but it certainly had all the familiar symptoms of a project. A fucking crackhead ran this way. And then another one jumped out of a tree and shit. The driver said, I'll be right back. And left me. Took the keys with him and just left me. At 3 o'clock in the morning, in front of a project, in a fucking limousine. This was not good. I was like, man, I gotta look around and see if I can see some landmarks and figure out where I'm at. Might have to escape on foot. Now, this is when I knew I was in a bad neighborhood. You only see this in the worst neighborhoods. Remember, it's 3 o'clock in the morning. It's 3 o'clock in the morning. I look out the window. It was a fucking baby standing on a corner. Look at this. And the baby didn't even look scared. He was just standing there. I mean, it made me sad. It made me sad, really. You know what I mean? Because I wanted to help the baby. I was like, I don't trust you either. I'm sorry. Click. Click. The old baby on the corner trick, eh? I'm not gonna fall for that shit. Where's this limousine driver? You know, I start feeling bad. As time goes by, I start feeling worse. Like, man, what is wrong with me? What the hell's wrong? I'm scared of a baby. And this baby could be in trouble. He might need my help. I got to do something. But I wasn't going to get out the car. I'm serious, man. I just cracked the window a little bit. There's an old limousine. I can roll it down. Hey, baby. Baby, go home, man. It's 3 o'clock in the morning. What the fuck are you doing up? The baby said, I'm selling weed, nigga. I said, oh, shit. I wasn't expecting that. I'm serious. I had to buy 2 bags from him to calm my nerves. Let me get 220. Got back in the car and rolled me a joint, man. So, that shit was scary, man. Every once in a while, like a crackhead would come up to the car and look in the window. It was like Jurassic Park and shit. He'd be looking all in the car. Hey, get out of here, cracky. That baby was still standing there, man. Then I started feeling bad again. Yeah, weed make you feel guilty sometimes. You know. Man, what is wrong with me, man? I have just bought weed from an infant. I can't condone this kind of behavior. What am I thinking? I can't let the fear ruin my morals. Gotta do something. Hey, baby. Stop selling weed, all right? You got your whole life ahead of you. He said, fuck you, nigga, I got kids to feed. I said, God dang. Sam. And just at that very moment, one of the crackheads was running across the street and got hit by a car. I know it was a hit and run. The police did it. That's all right, they sprinkled some crack on him and got back up.